Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 88. Today we are talking about the Shootist. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Derek.
And today we are talking about the Shootist, as I said, a 70-ton machine that is quite interesting, even if it isn't very interesting to look at.
Is brick.
It is brick.
My first exposure to this machine was in Mech Commander 2, and it looked like someone built a mech out of Legos.
It does. It also has a conspicuous design choice from the Mackie, if you know what I mean.
I don't know, this podcast specific episode might become not safe for work, eh? So the Shootist is 70 tons, and it was first released in 2621 by Mitchell Vehicles, and was intended as a command mech for the Royal SLDF units within the Terran Hegemony Armed Forces. And for the first decade of its life cycle, that is what it did, until it was dethroned by the Battlemaster.
Whoopsie.
The SLDF, however, still valued the machine and continued to order more units. One would think that this would result in the Shootist being common, or at least a prolific machine. However, the losses of the Shootist by the SLDF were essentially matched by Mitchell Vehicles' output, so the number of Shootist remained consistent with some fluctuations during the era of the Star League. The Shootist is focused more on armor and survivability than raw firepower. This is attributed to its origin as a command mech. It relies on a standard engine and has case from day one. The Shootist has been shown to work exceedingly well in coordinated operations, and even more so with other Shootists. The machine effectively became extinct outside of Comstar and Brian caches within the clans after the First Succession War, with losses of infrastructure and distribution of parts. While the machine did return in some number with both the Comstar and the Word of Blake, it was always the odd man out, often deployed in level 2 or as command lance mates. The mech remains a powerful and potent machine. To this day, pilots keep the tradition of punching up. It is common to see a Shootist taking on something bigger than itself.
Praise the Omnissiah.
Praise be.
Praise be.
So this guy has the design quirks of command mech.
How dare it?
It's almost like it's command mech or something.
It's almost, yeah. Who would have thought this command mech would be a command mech?
Yeah.
Right? The audacity.
I certainly would not have considered this.
Well, the first model is the ST-8A, and it was seen in 2621, and it's got a movement profile of 4.6. It's got a small laser in the head, a medium pulse laser in the center torso, a ER large laser in the right torso, a medium pulse laser in the right arm, and an AC-20 in the left arm. It's got Faro, it's got that standard engine, it's got 13 double heat sinks, it's got case in the left torso to protect the 2 tons of AC-20 ammo. What do you think, Chandler?
I like it. Wish I had a little bit more ammo, but, you know, they're at a certain point with how little weight savings this thing uses. I mean, it only uses ferrofibrous, so you're pushing your luck with getting 2 tons and an AC-20 on this thing, and still going 4.6 with a regular fusion.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily it has the double heat sinks to keep the weight down in that area, and it still has decent armor. I mean, it's almost full up on its armor.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Even still, armor-wise, it's
It's
with some of the
lighter.
weight saving, it could probably be a little bit better, but.
I mean, if anything, the only thing I would really want would be endo steel. Just endo steel it up and maybe try to get some jump jets on it and just use it as a really big hunchback.
Endo is like 14 again, right?
Yeah.
14 slots. It does not have enough slots for that.
Shame.
Yeah, figured as much.
It's got 11 slots open right now.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard-pressed to try and fit that on it. Maybe a light engine or an XL.
Yeah, if we were to redesign it in like the Dark Ages or just a little bit later.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honestly kind of surprised there isn't a Dark Age version of this.
Yeah. I mean, Comstar and Word of Blake were the ones who effectively used it after Star League, so it's just another casualty of the Jihad, probably.
So many sad losses.
2 of its variants, spoiler alert, 2 of its variants did disappear after the Jihad. Sorry, I know I just ruined the story for everybody.
Don't know if I'll ever recover.
You'll be alright.
But a very solid first machine. I mean, it's the first of this line. The manufacturer, of course, has been making stuff for the Terran Hegemony for quite a while, so it's not the first time they're throwing their hat in the ring.
No. I mean, it has a solid mixture of weapon systems. I mean, you got that autocannon, so once it runs out of ammo, you still have 2 medium pulses and a ER large that are, never going to run out of ammo, so you're good.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you're not firing the AC-20, I mean, you're heat positive, so you can just keep shooting to your heart's content. You're never going to overheat the mech.
Yep. I mean, it is an interesting note that if you look at the timeline, the medium pulse lasers, specifically out of the pulse laser family, which just became standard tech, so they used it to the full extent and shoved it in there as soon as they could. And a lot of people say that the actual big heavy hitter of this machine is not the AC-20, it's the ER large laser because of the extended range.
I can see it.
Mm-hmm. That being said, the AC-20 is a very good second swing.
Yeah.
Credit where credit is due.
Pretty much.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1507 and a point value of 41. We then come to the ST-8C, seen in 3062, so much later. This, of course, is the Comstar unit. Or wait, no, this would be Word of Blake, because it's a C3i.
No, Comstar also used C3i.
Okay.
They were the ones who originally came up with it, actually, and then the Word of Blake, stole it along with Terra and half the comm guards, and half the and all the Free Worlds League HPGs, and they stole a couple things.
That wasn't stolen. That was given to them.
Stolen, given. I mean, the Comstar wouldn't have liked them to have it.
Yeah, but hey, when you put a plant in charge of the Free Worlds League,
yeah, that does kind of
help
sway things in your favor.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be quiet again.
I don't want to remember these bad times.
Well, the 8C has a movement profile of 4.6. It's got an ER medium laser in the center torso. It's got a C3i in the right torso, an ER large laser in the right torso, an ER medium laser in the right arm, and an AC-20 in the left arm. It's got those 13 double heat sinks. Keeps the Pharaoh for weight savings, and still has case in the left torso, still the 2 tons of ammo. So you've basically swapped out the pulses for ERs and took out the small laser in the head for a C3i, which, I can see this really being quite good in a network.
Yeah. The 8C with its brother, the 9C, which we'll talk about next, make very good level 2 mates, even though they're both command mechs.
Mm-hmm.
But with very simple changes, you can go between the two. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of level 2s had the parts kind of laying around.
That they field
refit
it.
Field refit it real quick. If it's like, you're now going to be reassigned to a fire support lance,
Mm-hmm.
Here's this other weapon. It'll make your life a little bit easier.
Well, the 8C's got a battle value of 1528 and a point value of 42. And then the 9C is up next, as previously mentioned. Keeps that movement profile at 4.6. Got that ER medium laser in the center torso, the C3i and the ER large laser in the right torso, ER medium laser in the right arm, and a Gauss rifle in the left arm. It's got 12 double heat sinks, so losing a heat sink to help pay for that tonnage. And it has... Wait, where the heck is the ammo?
2 tons in the left
2
torso.
Tons. Yeah, 2 tons in the left torso.
Oh, left torso. And it has case, but of course that's for the Gauss rifle, not the ammo.
Yes.
So I will say this, that actually it dropping that AC-20 actually makes it heat neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because literally the other 2 designs were just above, with the 13 double heat sinks, or just above that. Now, even though they dropped a heat sink with changing out the AC-20 to Gauss, it drops it down. So funny enough, as long as you don't lose heat sinks, you're 1 point over.
And
So
you're also
good.
gaining shots because you're getting 3 extra per ton.
Yeah.
Which is helpful with the up in range, or the bump up in range.
Yep.
Yeah. This one definitely feels much more like a command mech because you can kind of sit back a little bit and use the C3 to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that C3i with a Gauss rifle.
So good.
Oh, it's honestly terrifying, especially when you have some light mechs in the network. They get up real close, give you nice targeting data, and then you're just sitting there poking away. That's ugly.
Mm-hmm. So this guy, of course, is the Word of Blake model and came out in 3066. And
Crazy.
And so Pharaoh keeps that standard engine. I mean, the fact that this thing always has a standard engine, I think is really good because it just makes it very survivable.
Yeah. I know the tendency for a lot of people, especially when it comes to inner sphere XLs, is they shy away heavily, or if they do use them, it's very carefully. The fact that this is a standard with a significant amount of firepower, decent armor, decent speed, yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm just unhappy with the fact that it's not a House Davian staple. Really sweet, catalyst. If you give me some more love, new Avalon, it needs to come back.
You're gonna pull a Kato the Elder, and every episode will be signed off with Davian needs new Avalon back.
Yeah, new Avalon in the new year.
Instead of a Carthago Dolenta Est, it's give me back Avalon.
Yeah, in Julian we trust.
Praise be.
So we touched a little bit about how the Shootist looks already. It's kind of blocky and Lego-y, or chunky, we'll say. But it's kind of got this like horseshoe thing with the cockpit nestled in between shoulders with extra stuff on it.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like an Orion to a certain extent, or a Thunderbolt with how the cockpit is. I don't know. That's just me, maybe.
It kind of looks like an Orion got pulled through a hole in the wall.
Yeah, it's like that scene from Aliens 3 with the Humalian or whatever getting pulled through a hole in the wall
into space.
Into space, yes, that happened once. That was a movie.
I think that was actually Resurrection, but that's neither here nor there.
Tomato. Once you got past the first Aliens, it doesn't really matter.
Whoa.
Second one is very, very good.
Sir.
That's fair. Yes,
sir.
I always forget how good the second one is.
Bill Paxton in number 2. I'm just saying, Private Hudson.
Hey man, just nuke it from orbit. It's the only way.
It's the only way to be sure.
It's true.
Game over, man.
Game over, man.
He would fit in so well with the Blakeists.
Dude, he would fit in so well as a mercenary.
Yeah.
When in doubt, tactical nuke.
When in doubt, Bill Paxton in any sci-fi setting.
Yeah. But the other interesting thing about this machine is the left arm is just this kind of like giant disc with a weapons port.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad someone else noticed that, because I was looking at it and was really confused on it for a second.
I think part of the problem is we literally have 2 pieces of art for the Shootist, and neither of them are great.
That's an understatement.
Are you being nice?
You got the line art sketch from TRO 3058, which is... It's a line art sketch. They always seem a bit weird when you look at them, because some things that are supposed to be solid, you can kind of see through. And you're like, is that supposed to be like that? But then there's also the Shootist from the Blackthorns book, which has a pilot of the Shootist of all things. But that one's even blockier, and it somehow gives it it looks like there's a hand on that left arm, even though rules-wise there is no hand or even lower arm. It's just gun.
Yeah, it's got a shoulder and upper arm actuator, and that's it.
Yeah. But this art's arguably better just because it's like 2D and you're just looking straight at it. Whereas the 3058 art, you're kind of at an angle looking up, so it's kind of stretched anyway.
I mean, the right arm is actually the part that kind of bugs me, because it looks like it's got the, like, not reverse elbow, but, like, instead of the anatomy going down. Yeah, like it's up and, like, reaching up above its head, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a dasher arm.
I wasn't sure if there was like an arm, like an actual arm, or if it was like basically below the elbow, basically connected to the body kind of arm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the elbow is actually connected directly to the side of the mech. There's no like, I don't know. It just looks weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. And if I'm remembering correctly from the Mech Commander 2 art, it's basically like just a stick that is the arm. Like it doesn't actually have a lower arm actuator. But of course it does on the sheet, so mechanically you would be able to. But you know, this is not the first time that a mech can do a thing or on the record sheet that the art says it shouldn't be able to.
I mean, yes.
It's also not the first time we've talked about, you know, mechs doing things that they shouldn't physically be able to do, like backflips and barrel rolls.
Barrel roll.
We don't need to go there.
Do a barrel roll.
Are you still processing some things? Do you need a couple more therapy sessions?
Do a barrel roll.
I need a lot of therapy. Let's be real here.
Do a barrel roll.
But I mean, I do actually really like the head. It's kind of got that commando-ish sort of like blocky helmet sort of thing going on, even though it's probably just mounted right onto the torso and can't move because
yeah,
it's got stuff in the way on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some of the mech designs that I've seen where it's like how the cockpit is set up, like on this piece of artwork. Like the field of vision's got a like,
Yeah, this isn't a very good command mech.
I can't see to my left or right, and I'm just like praying that somebody isn't just like standing there. Like you could probably put like a frickin', an assault mech next to this thing, and you probably wouldn't see it until you turned. And it's like,
why,
there's
hello
an Atlas
there.
there. Oh no.
Turns to camera, I've made a horrible mistake.
And you might be wondering how I got here. And it drops back 20 years to Sandhurst and joining the comm guards. Yeah. This is where my bad life choices began.
Mm-hmm.
Do.
Well, the 9C has a battle value of 1727 and a point value of 44. I don't think we've mentioned that yet, so just to be safe, let's do that. After a long digression of how this guy looks.
Yeah.
I found it entertaining. I don't know.
Well, write in and tell us if you found it entertaining. Audience, class. We don't really have a moniker for our audience, do we?
Of interest.
Yeah, persons of interest.
Cadet mech warriors?
Cadets. Children. You're all children now.
Valued community members.
There we go.
Valued citizens.
Anyways.
Capellan Confederation now? Citizen Chandler. Oh dear.
So next up we have our pilot profiles. And to start us off, I'm going to throw over to Chandler.
All right. So first of all, we are going to start with a relative nobody by the name of Presenter Apollyon. Presenter Apollyon, as the name might suggest, was part of the Word of Blake and was only in charge of a small section known as the Mane Domini, and was in command of all of the Mane Domini shadow divisions and answered essentially just to the master. So a little high up in the command structure. Praise be, of course.
Praise be.
He, of course, had many cybernetic implants. Both of his legs, one of his arms, and the whole right side of his face were replaced with cybernetics. So he looks very Adeptus Mechanicus for those of you who partake in Warhammer 40k.
Mm-hmm. Or recent refugees.
Yes.
Don't worry, it's safe here.
I'm not really going to get too in-depth with his backstory, as that's something we'll cover when we do talk about the Word of Blake, because he is very much intertwined with them. But he did pilot a custom Shootist, and while we do not have any sort of information on its stats, it did have a heavily modified loadout that included may have included a experimental HPG cannon.
Sorry, what?
That one, yeah, I remember.
So
seeing that.
So what it does is it weaponizes the HPG system to tear apart things in a single shot, effectively. Because even if you're not using an HPG as a weapon, if it fires, it has a massive effect on like EMP and a bunch of other random stuff. I don't remember quite off the top of my head. But if you use it as a weapon, like apparently he may or may not have been doing with his, you can literally tear things apart. Because, rip the fabric of reality apart around it. So that's fun. So he was a very nice person who did nothing bad ever. Definitely did not nuke any planets. Definitely didn't get killed by, the Regulans. Nothing bad ever happened to him.
No, he got nuked by the Regulans.
Shush.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'll be quiet now.
So next up, we have Adept Matthew Kincaid and Adept Simon Kincaid. Matthew and Simon were twin brothers who had the fortune of also having twin Shootists. I am noticing a theme with Comstar and Word of Blake with twins and siblings. I don't know about you guys.
No.
They both served with the Word of Blake and are credited with providing Presenter Marshal Cameron St. Jameis with the template... St. Jameis?
I think it's Jameis, yeah.
With the template of double listing troop buildup. During the buildup to the Jihad, the brothers would use their identically painted and tagged machines to confuse the enemy command into thinking that their command was exposed or in a different position, often resulting in beneficial troop commitments by their enemy. Presenter Marshal St. Jameis used the idea and built up several divisions of level 3s all listed as twin units. This resulted in, on average, the Inner Sphere intelligence agencies underestimating the Word of Blake's strength by up to 40%. Matthew and Simon were last reported fighting the Comguard 83rd Division, the White Cyclones, on Tall Tree in the Chaos March.
Praise Blake.
Praise be. All right. Next up and last, we have a Jeremiah Rose, who some of you may know as the founder of the Blackthorns Mercenary Company. Yet again, I will not get too in-depth with him, as he is very much intertwined with the Blackthorns, which who would have thought he did found them. But he... Gasp. Zounds. But before he ended up founding the Blackthorns, he was part of Comstar, of all things, joining due to his dislike and eventual hatred of the Secession Wars and Hans Davian due to his mother's death during the War of 3039 as she fought with the Federated Sons. He joined Comstar to try to get above the pettiness of the great houses. This, of course, backfired, as after the Battle of Tukiad, which he would pilot a Shootist during, he would resign his commission after the failure of Operation Scorpion and his realization that Comstar was not exactly neutral, which, surprise, surprise.
Shock.
Shock.
Yeah.
And so he would end up leaving Comstar and becoming dispossessed. And that's where I'll leave off with him, as there's a bunch of other stuff that happens to him that have nothing to do with the Shootist.
Also, doesn't he have he's the protagonist of 2 books, right?
Yeah, DRT and Main Event.
Yes.
Yep.
Or is it Main Event?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Illusions to Victory. That's what I'm thinking of.
I don't even know what that book is.
That's the one on Solaris 7 where it's like the mini pre-Civil War.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
All right. But yes, he would pilot a Shootist during the Battle of Tukiad, where he would survive, not just because of his skill, but because his level 2 were convinced that Rose alone would survive, and so they would sell themselves dearly for his survival. So I don't know how that came to be. I have a lack of information in that regard. So
I can actually tell you that.
Okay.
If my memory from reading the books is correct, knock on wood, cross fingers, etc., it's because in their first engagement, he basically took no damage except for 2 laser shots across the center torso, which basically made an X. And everybody else got the pulp beat out of them. So they're like, oh, he's going to make it.
That makes sense, I guess.
I mean, they all gave him death letters to give to people, and reading between the lines, and props to the author, can't remember who it is at this moment, but it was he's I'll do that, but this is heavy, guys. Don't make me do this.
Oh no, yeah. Having 5 other people walk up to you and be like, yeah, here you go, sir. Give this to my significant other when I die. It's like, man.
Thanks.
So that's only a little bit of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is where we will leave off with Jeremiah Rose, as we will talk about him more when we talk about the Blackthorns at some point.
Mm-hmm.
One day in the future.
Eventually, we are going to have to go back and finish off talking about all the novels once we have a little bit more time and structure.
Novels, such a good time.
They're very enjoyable.
They are.
They are. This is true.
I think I've reread Test of Vengeance 5 or 6 times in the last 2 years, because I'm totally not a Ghost Bear fan. I don't know.
Legitimately, that is also one of the very good ones in the series.
It's true.
There's a lot of really good pathos. But
we digress.
Pathos is not what pays the bills. What does that is C-bills, which is why for our data dive today, we are going to talk about the MRBC, the Mercenary Review and Bonding Commission. And this data dive is brought to you by our ace pilot, Metal Ed. And so for the data dive, our presentation is going to be by Derek. So take it away, Derek.
I think this is my first one. So, all right, folks. Listen here and listen good. So, First of all, the MRBC actually comes later. First, we're going to go back. We're going to go back to 2789, right before the Inner Sphere decided to, nuke itself back into the Stone Age, and then do it again, and kind of do it a third time, because why not? So, in 2789, a man by the name of Jerome Blake, not an important person, by the way, decides to found the Mercenary Review Board, which would allow Comstar agents to, serve as brokers for all these, newly formed mercenary units that used to be SLDF units that now are hiring themselves out. Yeah, good job, Karinsky. You didn't take everybody.
See the light horses.
Whoa.
They chose to stay, and they became mercenaries. I'm using them as an example.
Okay. I thought we were getting some shade thrown on my light horse. We don't throw shade on the light horse.
No.
Anyway.
The only thing I throw on the light horses is mispronouncing things by accident.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Radney?
Iradani. Anyway, so they go and decide to, do this because it's out of obviously the generosity of their own hearts to ensure that mercenaries are treated good and proper. Going forward, they would go to the planet Galatea would become the center of this booming mercenary trade as, the successor states nuke themselves back to oblivion, and not just one, but like 4 succession wars. Anywho, Galatea becomes known as the mercenary star, the center of the greatest center of the mercenary trade. Well, it was publicly accepted as being neutral to all parties. Comstar, in truth, well, they kind of maintained the MRB to clandestinely monitor and control the mercenaries. So, no one got any smart ideas and decided to, do their own thing. Although, to be fair, some mercenaries did get smart and tried to do their own thing because they didn't like how Comstar was stiffing them. So they formed the Mercenaries Guild. And, well, it lasted 12 years. But
There's a reason why we don't hear about it.
Yeah, there's probably a reason you don't hear about it, because I'm sure Comstar used the old Soviet method, as Tex would say, to solve that problem. Anyway, so, moving forward, come into 3052. And, well, we know the Wolf's Dragoons really didn't like Comstar, because, Comstar. So, 3052 Operation Scorpion, which was actually mentioned earlier. Operation Scorpion happens. All the Inner Sphere great powers basically go, yeah, no, we don't want Comstar managing our mercenaries. Like, this kind of doesn't feel good. So basically, the MRB.
I'm sure the mercenaries also were not super happy about the situation as well.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Did you want to just quickly explain what Operation Scorpion is, just as a refresher, because it's one of those things that's common, but like it's not for the new people in the class.
So basically, as the Battle of Tukiad was occurring on Tukiad, yes.
Who would have thought the Battle of Tukiad would be on Tukiad?
Shock. I know. Anywho, so Operation Scorpion. Basically, what happened is during the clanners and the bulk of the comm guards were beating each other senseless. The current primus of Comstar, I forget her name, or Waterly.
Yeah. Maldo
Waterly. Yeah.
Mindo.
She decides to enact a great plan, a plan that will ensure Blake's vision, praise be, across all of the Inner Sphere. So she launches Operation Scorpion, which was the attempt by Comstar to essentially take control of all the major worlds of all the great powers and basically bring mankind into a glorious new future. Yeah,
sure that
about that. As Hans Davian says in the Blood of Karinsky trilogy, Scorpion more like a pest, because he stomps that out, mainly due to a certain individual by the name of Shilari Mori, who happened to feed information to the Draconis Combine, who happened to let everyone else know, hey, yeah, Comstar's going to try and pull something, and they were ready for it. So, basically, Scorpion fails. They try the same thing on the clans. The clans are a little bit upset about that, and, upset elementals going against Comstar acolytes. I'm sure you can... It was gruesome. Yeah, it didn't end well. So
there's a lot of holy robes at the end of the day.
There's a lot of red holy robes. Anywho, moving along. So basically what ends up happening is in the spring of 3052, the Draconis Combine basically says, we're not going to recognize Comstar as the neutral mercenary contract arbiter. The Capellan Confederation and Federated Commonwealth also say the same thing. And so basically after about 263 years, the MRB collapses. And hence enters what we are originally going to talk about, the Mercenary Review and Bonding Commission. That comes along in the same conference. Interestingly enough, it would actually be overseen by the Wolf's Dragoons on outreach. And the ratings of mercenary units would become known as their Dragoon ratings. Basically, the Wolf's Dragoon Intelligence Organization would rate mercenary companies based on their equipment, their personnel and training, and how they handled their contracts. So, breaking your contracts multiple times tends to end poorly for you. Hence why the Great Death Legion didn't get rebuilt. because literally in a 10-year period, during the early Civil War era, they kind of just like broke contract like at the drop of a hat because, morality or some nonsense or something. I don't know, whatever. But so the council that made up the MRBC with representatives also not only included just the 5 great houses, but it also included the Free Rosselhog Republic and St. Ives Compact, till they both ceased to exist. And the Wolf Dragoons, because, the most famous mercenary regiment better damn well be in charge. So, moving forward, Outreach becomes basically the center of the mercenary trade. In 3062, on the eve of the Civil War, Galatea falls on hard times. The MRBC decides, well, we'll show Galatea, the good old mercenary star, some love, so they open up an office. And they announce plans to open up further hiring halls on Solaris 7, Ark Royal, and you guessed it, Northwind. A move viewed by many to prove that the MRBC was neutral, and to shed the impression it was just run by the Wolf Dragoons, which it was just run by the Wolf Dragoons, because, we're the best.
I mean, they do have the best plot armor.
There's another jet.
Suddenly plot armor.
Suddenly aerospace fighter. Yeah, suddenly plot armor. Anyhow, moving into the Jihad, Outreach kind of gets nuked. A lot. And then nuked again. So, basically in 3076, the MRBC decides to move its primary office to Galatea because, it's less irradiated and hellish wasteland and whatnot. Following the conclusion, basically the only branch of the MRBC that remained active was on Galatea in the wake of the creation of the Republic of the Sphere. Basically in 3081, the Republic passes the Republic Mercenary Act, mandating that the only legal mercenary destination within its borders would be Galatea. And also with the fact of, Pax Republica or whatever it's called, or Pax Stone not being fun,
Definitely,
and taking away, all the fun of going to war, basically sees a lot of the hiring halls closed down across the inner sphere. And by 3109, Galatea is once more the undisputed star of mercenaries. Although this then ended in 3132 with Grey Monday, because, they can't talk to each other. Mm-hmm. And it was forced to declare bankruptcy. But in 3133, the MRBC was revived, a shadow of itself, neutrally brokering once more contracts for mercenaries to go and kill for their masters across the inner sphere and periphery. Because money doesn't stop. And, as long as you have a mech and and somebody will pay, well, my friends, you'll go and fight for them.
Woo!
So that's all I got on the MRBC. Anyway, going down. So my sources today were actually the Comstar. I think it was Field Manual Comstar, the one from like the 1980s. It was pretty cool to look through that.
The old school one with the Space Wizard art.
Yeah, the Space Wizard art is. I love that picture so much. The old Mercenaries Handbook 3055, Field Manual Mercenaries Revised, Mercenary Supplemental Updated, as well as Field Manual 3145. So that was me.
My sources, I'm glad. Sounded like you had a lot of fun. My sources were Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO, and Record Sheets Succession Wars.
Oh, hold on. Mine are here somewhere.
Yeah, you have sources too, don't you?
Yeah, he has sources.
For Apollyon, we have Jihad Hotspots 3072, 3076, and Terra, along with Jihad Secrets, the Blake documents, and a Field Manual 3085. And for Jeremiah, we have the novel DRT and the novel Main Event, which are both good novels from what I hear. So read them, I guess, or not.
I've been meaning to get around to those two.
Brent's memory says they're good.
I will trust Brent's memory.
I will trust Brent's memory as well. It might be dangerous to do so, but I will trust it.
Brent agrees. This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III, Metal Ed, and Stahlkater. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Peace out, MechWarriors. No. I'm breaking. I'm falling apart over here. Stay safe out there.
New Avalon in the new year.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey. I started saying Josh's line.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
This is going to be a nice episode. We only have 3 mechs.
Yeah.
And 2 out of the 3 have AC-20s. I approve.
I have machine twice there. That was bad writing.
The machine of the machine.
Yeah.
The machine of the machine.
The machine god.
Well, next up we have our pilot profiles.
Before we start that, I actually did find a couple of others.
Oh, okay. What's up?
So we do have Apollyon, because, he's not important.
No.
And then Jeremiah Rose, who was not part of the Word of Blake, actually. So that's nice.
Well, I don't have anything on those guys, so...
Wasn't he the Black Roses?
Yep.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Or Blackthorns, but yeah.
Blackthorns, yeah.
I'm just going to do a very brief overview of both of them, because I figure we'll talk about both of them when we get to them.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do we want to start this off? I can go, and then you can go, and I can go?
Sorry, so you have 2 pilots?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I thought you had another machine.
No.
Okay.
I mean, technically we do with Apollyons, but we don't have...
Yeah, because he's listed on master unit list, but he
yeah.
doesn't have any data there.
We don't have a
record sheet
for
or...
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
All we know is that it's customized.
All right, well, you take one, then I'll do the brothers, then you take the last one. So I'll throw to you.
With plans to... Sorry, there's a jet engine.
It's okay.
Suddenly,
I mean,
yeah.
No, they're doing this whole air show, so I've got an F-16 taking off right on. I just taxied and took off on the runway.
We'll take a moment. It's fine.
Yeah.
How dare they try to
now.
fly things?
Anyway.
I had to bite my tongue for a second, though, anyway, while you were like, the most prestigious and important mercenary. I'm like, but it's not on Northwind.
Sir, we are getting there. Sir. Anyway, in 36... Creation of the Republic of the Sphere.
Another jet. Who would have thought that'd be more jets?
Same jet.
Oh.
So,